from Pure Light. Tonight, we are talking about raising kids naturally. Love it. We do it in our home every single day. We are obsessed with it. We do it every single day at our office. We are talking about raising kids naturally because when you raise kids naturally, they are healthier human beings. And this is a tough one. It's hard. It's not easy. Our world caters to not raising kids naturally. Our world caters to feeding your kiddos full of toxins, GMOs, stress, dysfunction, lack of function. I'm telling you, this one is so crucial for yourself and for your children because, thank you, Sarah, for letting me know we had some issues with this live stream before, but my beautiful bride said we are good to go. So here we go. Rocking it. All right. When kiddos live more of a toxic lifestyle, they don't function as well. Just reality. It's just what happens. So what is this webinar for? It's going to teach you how to raise your kiddos naturally. It's teaching you how to make literally the healthiest kiddos on the block, healthiest kiddos that people know. Our daughter and so many people like who come into our office and who've seen us and who've learned this stuff, they get it all the time from people when they're out in the public. Oh my gosh, your kiddo makes such good eye contact. Oh my gosh, your kiddo's skin is so clear. Their eyes are so clear. They're so happy. They're such highly functioning. Oh my gosh, they speak so much. How old are they? They're already walking? Yep. All of these things, when we do them properly, and this goes back to literally preconception. We could talk, Dr. Sarah talks about that a lot. But this goes all the way back to preconception. You can prime yourself to make sure that your seed, male, sperm, female, ovum, are most optimal that can be. Epigenetically, the way that you live your life can influence the function of your offspring. But we're going to start from this post-birth, okay? Day number 1 for that baby, raising kiddos naturally. So who is this for? This is for new parents. This is for parents who have 5 kids who are looking to make this switch. These are for people who haven't even heard about this before. This is literally for anybody under the sun who is looking for different advice, different information, and all things that are based on the way that we were designed to function. However, like I said, it's going to cut against the grain. So keep it up, dig in, and we are always here for you as a resource. So I'm Dr. David. My wife and I and Dr. Liz, Dr. Sarah and Dr. Liz, and we got a whole team with us. We're Pure Light Family Chiropractic. We are obsessed with helping people function at optimal. Kiddos, pregnant mamas, families, grandparents, whatever it is, you're going to see all of our stuff as pregnant mamas, babies, and kiddos, but we take care of the whole family. That's why we're called Family Chiropractic. Our biggest thing is making sure that there's not interference to the system, and we're going to talk a lot about that tonight, okay? So you have to choose, we're going to dig in. You have to choose your guides. Guides are people or doctors who are the guide for you that you're going to work through this process, okay? The people who you can hit up, you can call and say, hey, this is going on. This is what I need advice on. This is what I'm going to do. And you're getting some information right here, right now. But these guides you need to have on your team, okay? Dr. Sarah, Dr. Liz, and I are all guides for people. We have a gamut of people who we refer to who are guides of people. And these guides are going to come from 2 major perspectives, okay? One would be more of a reductionist model. The other one would come from a salutogenic model, okay? Or a reductionist is also called pathogenic model. It's a treatment model, okay? You have this thing that we need to treat in order for your body to function better, okay? Treatment is not the way to go. Sometimes we need to give extra focus to something because we've looked at the body in a global focus and realize this other thing needs focus in order to make the body healthy. But when we look at it from a salutogenic model, that means that we're looking at the body as a whole. We're looking at how the body functions. You need to have a guide who looks at it from that salutogenic model. So questions to ask is, when you look at this thing, do you do treatment or do you do care? Do you care for my child or do you treat them? Okay. Other questions that you can ask are, how do you choose to raise your kiddos? Do you do things naturally? Ask them about, chemicals, toxins, ask them about medications, ask them about antibiotics, whatever it may be. Ask them and dig into how they take care of themselves and their families, because the way that they take care of themselves and their families is going to be the direction on how they're going to take care of you and your kiddos. Okay, salutogenic model versus a pathogenic model. So have people on your team that are salutogenic model. Okay, obviously that's where we come from. When we look at the body whole, how it's functioning, the biggest key function that we know for all of this, okay, from a salutogenic model is stress. Stress does not make the body function well. Stress was designed for when we were hunter and gatherers. Okay, when saber-toothed tigers came to get us, stress would get us out of that situation. However, we live in 2021. There's a million and one things that stress us out all day, every day, whether it comes from preconception, in utero, birth, early childhood, adolescence, and into adulthood. These stressors build and build and build, and then our body doesn't function as well. Okay. So when we look at the root cause of these stress in our system, what causes stress in our system, and 3 ways to look at it. First would be interference. What is interfering with the flow, the natural flow of health in life? Okay, there are so many things that interfere. If you don't know, start digging in. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 things that interfere with your flow of life or your health. Okay, the first one would be thoughts. Okay, negative reoccurring thoughts in kiddos and babies. Kiddos, older kiddos, that can happen. Second would be toxins. Toxins interfere with the function of our system. And then last would be trauma. Okay, trauma, physical trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma, spiritual trauma, whatever that may be, trauma interferes with our system. However, we can better adapt to those things. Okay, so those interference then causes imbalance in the body. Imbalance in the body for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Okay, fine. Couple weeks, couple months, couple years. What does that lead to? That's the people that we see that come in that say, just this 1 day, it just happened that stuff hit the fan and we started expressing symptoms and we've been down this crazy path and we need help. However, unless it's a major accident, things build and build and build, and then the body shows you symptoms. Okay, those imbalances come to the surface. Then we have the chronic inflammation. Okay, now we have the body in a constant state of inflammation, that the body is in this cascade of dysfunction and can never fully recover because it's constantly inflamed. It can't decrease that inflammation to a certain amount in order to heal and function at the core. And like I said, the core of all of this is stress and dysfunction. Okay, so big picture to all this. Okay, major master control system, like we know you hear us talk about all the time, is the central nervous system. Okay, the brain, the spinal cord, peripheral nervous system, the nerves that come out of that central nervous system is the boss to everything that's functioning. Okay, if our central nervous system is stressed out, everything else is going to be stressed out. That's why we in our office look at the nervous system. We take a whole global picture of the human body, and then we look at the nervous system. Okay, then digestion, immunity, movement, sleep, and then lastly, living clean. Okay, living clean, making sure that we cut things out of our life. Okay, before we dig into each of those points, need to be prepared of how to notice dysfunction. Okay, understand and prevent dysfunction. Okay, what is a massive, since we're talking about raising kiddos naturally, what is a massive epidemic right now with our kiddos? Neurological dysfunction. Okay, neuro issues, things that are attacking our kids' central nervous system. Okay, the way we're looking at that is we're going down a path of 1 in 2 kids have autism. Not right now. We're not there yet. That's by 2050. 1 in 2 kids are going to have autism. Then we have ADHD, and then we have sensory issues. I'm telling you, so many kids struggle with these things. The nervous system is under attack. Okay, so that's dysfunction. If you know any of those, hyperactivity, lack of focus, issues with eating certain foods, clothes, having bothering kiddos, major meltdowns out of nowhere that can't be controlled. The list can go on and on, but that's a sign of dysfunction in your kiddos. Okay, sign of dysfunction is lots of medical intervention during labor and birth. Stressed out, colicky, fussy babies. They're showing signs of neuro issues, okay? Neuro movement issues. The nervous system is not properly functioning in controlling their gut, and they're having a stressed out gut. Therefore, they have a stressed out nervous system, and it just works in the cycle. Okay, lots of temper tantrums, sick consistently, kiddos who move like robots. Okay, that is a sign of dysfunction. Okay, sensory and spectrum stuck on kiddos who don't necessarily have a diagnosis. When milestones aren't hit on time, when kiddos aren't verbal at a later age, whether they won't look in your eyes, whether they won't interact socially, all these things, dysfunction. You need to recognize them. And then when we switch to natural and we start to look at the body from a global perspective, start to fuel health. Salutogenic is about fueling health, fueling the system, giving the body what it needs, like watering a plant and giving it sunshine. For the human body, doing all of these things, it's like giving a plant water and sunshine. When you do that, we just begin to function the way that we were designed to do, which is expressing health. Okay? Last signs of dysfunction are you, mom, dad, exhausted, angry, stressed out, depressed, uncomfortable, anxious. And you can do that for mom and dad or switch that to teenager. Okay. Last would be burnt out, stressed out, and super hyperactive adults. Okay. All of these things build on top of each other. So let's go into digestion. Stress from the central nervous system affects digestion, and then digestion therefore affects the brain. Okay, so keeping that gut in balance. You hear things like probiotics. Great. Probiotics are good as long as we don't have an overpopulation of bacteria within our gut. How would you know that? You'd see a guide who would test you, who would look at your gut. Okay, do a stool sample, whatever that may be. So we need to make sure our gut is in balance. Our microbial environment is in balance. So many people, so many children have an imbalance within their gut. Okay. How do you rebalance? The first place to start is cleaning up your life, cleaning up your food, cleaning up the food that your children eat. Okay. That balances that gut out. Okay. And then finding a guide who can allow you and get you to the point where the gut begins to function properly. Looking at the gut. Okay. Looking at things that whole foods, balance-based diet. Another thing that can help out that gut, something called Ion Gut. Okay, Ion Gut for kids. You can get it on Amazon. It's great. It's fantastic. So start cleaning up that gut. Make sure we have normal, consistent bowel movements. That's a good sign of it. No major gas, bloating, all of those things, that we have proper gut health. Okay, and the immune system. All right, immune system. Gosh, it's been a hot topic over the last year and a half. But the immune system functions the best when we are exposed to things naturally, when we feed the immune system things that it needs. Okay, whole foods based diets, absolutely. When our nervous system is not stressed out, is it important to have a properly functioning immune system when you're running from the saber-toothed tiger? Nope, it is not. It is not important. It is important to run from that saber-toothed tiger, but when that response is stuck on, the immune system is not going to function the way that it was designed to. So therefore, kiddos are going to get consistently sick. They're going to always be snotty. They're going to have a hyperactive immune system, whether that may be autoimmune stuff or lots of allergies or whatever it may be. The immune system is key. So how do we do that? We make sure that our kiddos are exposed to sunshine, dirt from an early age, that we do things naturally, expose them to things naturally. Breast milk is key. A balanced diet is key. Chiropractic care for the immune system is key. Okay, the more we mess in the non-natural world, when we start to mess with the immune system from an early age, therefore, when we mess with it, we're imbalancing the proper flow and function of the immune system. And then down the line, what does that happen? Is that creates imbalance in the immune system. And then we get to an older kiddo who now has autoimmune issues, or parents who have autoimmune issues, and their systems are stressed out and the immune system does not function well. So how do we do it? Naturally. Okay. Allow the body to do what it's designed to do. The immune system, it was built to fight things off. When you don't interfere with it, the immune system does what it's meant to do. Okay. However, there is so much fear surrounding this. A big one. Big one. We'll start there. So raising kids naturally versus raising kids the other way. And when I say this, naturally does not mean anti-medicine. Okay. It just means that you lead with natural. And if you ever have a major issue, then you use the medical system. Okay. So immunity is that a big one that I was going to say is the whole fever aspect. Okay. So when we look at the fever aspect of things, let me pull this up. Okay. Stated by the Academy, the American Academy of Pediatricians, that they have never advised to take antipyretics, which are fever reducing agents, for anything under 104 degrees. Obviously, this is beyond 3 months. Okay. But who have you been educated about this by? The pharmaceutical companies. Who have a lot of medical doctors been educated about this by? The pharmaceutical company. However, when you go into the basis of medicine, they've never advised, this is an article, I can send you this article, to give antipyretics under 104 degrees. It says there's no evidence that children with fever is opposed to hyperthermia when you raise the body temperature. Hyperthermia is when you raise the body temperature when, like, let's say, like putting a kid in a hot car, right? Their body gets to 104 via hot car, totally different than their body ramping itself up and getting to 104. Totally different mechanism. Okay. So this says there's no evidence that children with fever as opposed to hyperthermia are at increased risk of adverse outcomes such as brain damage. 5 research studies to back that up within this systematic review. Okay. It is argued that by creating undue concern over these presumed risks of fever, for which there is no clearly established relationships, physicians are promoting an exaggerated desire in parents to achieve normothermia, normal body temperature, by aggressively treating fever in children. Okay. If you need to hear that one again, rewind this when it's done and listen to that again. When you start to interfere with the design, the intricate design of the human body, the immune system, okay? What we're talking about right now. You're educating the body to do what you think that it should do. So therefore, the body's going to respond, okay? Everybody knows this analogy. Shouldn't say everybody. Most people know this analogy. When a bodybuilder takes steroid hormones, injects it into their behind, they grow muscles. That's synthetic testosterone. Okay. What happens to the male gonads of that bodybuilder when they inject themselves with testosterone? Their testicles shrink. Why is that? Okay. You are putting a synthetic hormone into the body. Therefore, you are telling the body, I no longer need you to produce this hormone. So therefore, the major hormone producer of testosterone in the body, the testicles within the male, shrink. Okay. So how does this apply to fever and the way that your child functions naturally versus interfering with that perspective with a more of a treatment model? Okay. When you interfere via a treatment model, when you're constantly giving antipyretics, antibiotics, antihistamines, whatever it may be, neosporins, all of the things that you are giving to the body, you are educating the body. The body's going to respond to you and say, you know what? I think you've got it. We're good. And then what does that lead to? That leads to massive amounts of dysfunction within that child, especially if you're doing that forever. Man, that is going to be one sick, unhealthy adult. However, if you do it from a more natural perspective, if you honor the fact that this thing is designed intelligently and it was made to be healthy, then we support the system. We fuel the health of that individual. If you're constantly fueling the internal health fire of your child with the things that they need, whether that's from consistent chiropractic care, whether that's from a balanced diet, whether that's from, awesome relationships, whether that's from love in your home, whether that's from happiness, whether that's at outside time, I could go on and on, proper movement. I could go on and on and on and on. Those things fuel health, okay? And the other aspect of this is removing the things that interfere with their health, which I'll talk about a little bit more as we move on. Okay? Last aspect about the immune system. There are 2 theories major theories. One dominates pretty much everywhere. Okay. We've seen so much about it over the last year and a half. And the first one is called the germ theory. Okay. That germs are designed to make you sick and they are out to get you and we need to kill them. Okay. The other theory that we don't really talk much about is called the terrain theory. Okay. That our body, just like the squirrels and the chipmunks and the deer and the things that live outside, when we are in proper function with our internal environment, the internal terrain of our environment, we're fueling the health of our body. We're honoring our system that it's an intelligently designed thing, and we are in balance with nature. When we encounter those microbes, which we already have a ridiculous amount of microbes in our system, bacteria, fungi, bacteriophages, parasites, whatever it may be, we have so many within our body that works in tandem and communication with the cells of our body, and we would never want them to be out. However, when we are in this proper dance with the microbial environment of our own body and we are fueling our health, when we encounter these new viruses and bacteria, our body works in harmony with it. Okay? The proper balance happens that we interact properly with these things. They don't take us down fully. Yes, we might get sick. We might get symptomatic. That has to do with the immune system too. Why is sick and symptomatic a bad thing? It's not a bad thing. We were designed to get sick and symptomatic. It's okay. The body detoxes. The immune system flexes its muscle. We are fine. It's okay. It's all good. And yes, there's a limit to that. If somebody's 95 and they're on 14 medications and they live in a nursing home and they've never eaten, a vegetable, they haven't eaten a vegetable in the last 30 years, are they going to have less of a positive response when it comes to encountering a new microbe? Absolutely. Okay. But we're talking about raising kids naturally. When you raise your kids naturally, when you fuel their health, their body's going to react a lot more properly and the way it was designed to when it comes to microbes. Okay. Movement. Okay. Do it naturally. Do it properly. Okay. When your kiddo, biggest thing, I like functional movement. Okay. Crawling around, rolling around, doing squats, doing deadlifts, doing pull-ups, doing push-ups, doing monkey jumps, jumping up on boxes, riding, running, jogging, whatever it may be, these natural movements. Okay. Movement is life. Proper movement is life. Look how we were designed to move naturally. I promise you, whatever designed this beautiful thing did not design it for us to sit in a chair every single day. Okay. The human body should move, they say, roughly between 7 and 12 miles a day. We should be walking between 7 and 12 miles a day. Promise you, my 2.5-year-old probably runs at least 5 miles a day and walks around and moves at least 5 miles a day. My dad tells me all the time, man, you should put a pedometer on that little girl. But that's what we were designed to do. We were designed to constantly move. So how do we create an environment where we constantly move? Okay. Get our kiddos out, get our kiddos moving, get our kiddos outside, get our kiddos engaged, taking them to the jump place. And kiddos should be moving on unstable ground for about 4 hours a day. Okay. Unstable ground means that they're not just on one constant surface. Okay. Take their shoes off, let them walk in the grass, let them walk in the dirt, let them walk on the rocks, let them go up and down the stairs, let them move and be on unstable ground. What that does is that nourishes the central nervous system, that nourishes what their body's system called proprioception to allow them to properly function. Okay. When we do that from an early age, that nervous system is primed, that brain is primed to function the way it was designed to and literally be a little superhuman. Gosh, it's so amazing to watch my daughter move and these kiddos move who do it this way naturally. Man, they move like a freaking jaguar in the jungle. It is beautiful to watch. Okay. And I'm so envious when I watch them move because I designed my movements and I've gained so much mobility back by doing that and balancing out my central nervous system. Okay. So move. Okay. That movement starts from day number 1. Okay. There's so much improper movement stuff. Okay. Whether it's from the baby carriers to the bumbo seats, to the jumpers, to the things, all of those things are designed to help you out as parents, but so many of those do not create proper movement in your child. Okay. Tummy times, key from day number 1, putting that baby on your chest, having their head turn. Man, sleep and infants is a whole nother ball game. We can talk about that another time, which also influences movement. Okay. I'm just telling you that babies were not designed to always be on their back. Babies were designed to be on their tummy. Babies were designed to be up against your chest. Babies were designed to be on that ground. When they get older, they're going to start to Superman. They're going to bring those knees up under them. They're going to start cross-crawling. Cross-crawling is amazing. Then they're going to pull themselves up, and they're going to start to walk, and then they're going to do these deep squats, and they're going to do these deadlifts. And if you just watch them move and you don't interfere with it, and you don't just try to get them to sit or walk or stand or move early with all these gadgets and things that we have, man, your kiddos are going to be so much better because of it. Because you are allowing the pre-programming of their central nervous system to play out that it is. And there are things that interfere with that. So many things that interfere with that. Okay. Whether that's from the birth process, whether that's from things in early childhood, chemicals, toxins, all of that, trauma, all those things that wouldn't allow kiddos to develop and move properly. However, man, you're talking to the people, Dr. David, Dr. Sarah, Dr. Liz, Pure Light. We are obsessed with helping kids move properly. Okay. And it all starts out with balancing the central nervous system. Okay. So movement is life, but proper movement is life. All right. So aspect of this, okay, when we need it, is stock up on nature's medicine cabinet. You can do these things regularly. Okay. When it comes to supplements, you don't have to get crazy. You can. I'm telling you, I have so many supplements in my in my cabinet. But if you want to just keep it simple, especially for your kiddos, here are 3 to keep it simple. Okay. Ion Gut, Mighty Minerals from Organic Olivia, and a cod liver oil. Okay. We like Genestra. Mighty Minerals comes from Organic Olivia, and Ion Gut is made by Ion Gut. Okay. If you do those 3, man, you are light years ahead of most. Deals with the brain, deals with the gut, deals with cells, gives your kiddos the minerals that they don't get, especially when they go through the toddler times of freaking eating rice and hot dogs. And you're like, man, this kid used to eat broccoli and every green under the sun, but now all they eat is rice and hot dogs. We're all going through that. However, you giving kiddos all those things are going to help them stay in balance. Okay. So things to help. I'm all for it when we get symptomatic, giving the immune system, fueling the immune system with what it needs. Okay. Getting an adjustment, balancing out the central nervous system, making those channels clear. Immune system boost when we're going through something, as well as before. We hear it all the time. My kids don't get sick as frequently. Another thing, vitamin C. You can get some zinc. And then, things like rest. Who would have thought? And not being too concerned that we might not eat as much, and then staying away from dairy and sugar. Okay. That's nature's medicine cabinet. Getting raw local honey and consuming that with your kiddos just a little bit every single day. Those are things that can help you better adapt your immune system to the environment that's surrounding you, because bees have that concentrated amount of pollen from the environment that you live in. So your immune system will take that in and help you adapt better to the environment. Okay. Another thing with immunity is elderberry without sugar. We like a company called Herb Farm. They're great. Okay. And that also boosts the immune system. So that's not treating a sickness. That's just fueling the body with what it needs in order to properly function during a time when it's ramping itself up. Okay. That is good. That's nature's medicine cabinet. Any questions you ask? Last one, central nervous system, what we do best. Okay. Harvard Developing Child Laboratory. This is their statements. Interactions of genes and experiences shape the developing brain. Okay. So what that means is the experiences that your child has and the way that you live your life influences what genes get turned on and turned on. It's called epigenetics. Do some research on that if you have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay. That shapes the developing brain. Okay. At an early age, we have friggin' 250,000 neurological connections made every single second. How do we want to prime that? Do we want to prime that with dysfunction, or do we want to prime that with proper function and natural and fueling health the way it desires? Man, I think if you're watching this webinar, you probably know where I stand and where you stand. Okay. Although genes provide the blueprint for information of brain circuits, these circuits are reinforced by repeated use. All the things we just talked about, proper movement, the way that you're educating the body, repetitive use, proper repetition. So proper repetition through a natural perspective, that's just going to give those reps and nourish that body with what it needs to build itself properly. However, if we're doing it from a dysfunction standpoint and a treatment standpoint, we're going to bathe those neurons and we're going to create neurological pathways that are improper. Okay. That's when we talk about with families, talked about it with mom yesterday, that when your child was operating in this dysfunctional, sensory, stressed out way, what happens is that our nervous system goes through leaps. Okay. It's growth spurts. Our brain goes through growth spurts. Every time your child goes through another growth spurt, that stress and that dysfunction, when those neurological pathways wire, that's going to be their default. And they're just going to sink deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay. But when we get in there, when we start adjusting kiddos, when we calm down their central nervous systems, when their families start to feel health and live more naturally, when they go through those growth spurts, now what is sinking in? Proper function. What is sinking in? More balance. What is sinking in is better adaptability to stresses in our world. Okay. So when that child goes through all those leaps, time and time again, I was having this conversation with a mom whose the kiddo's been under care with us for probably 2.5 years. And he is a completely different child. He came in and just used to blast things off the desk. And now he comes in here and he's like, "What's up, Dr. David?" Lays down on the table, gets adjusted and tells me about his day. Totally different human being. Totally different. Okay. What happened is proper function sunk into his central nervous system instead of dysfunction, and that dysfunction started to get its way out. Okay, so back to this. Cognitive, emotional, and social capabilities or capacities are inextricably intertwined through the life course. Okay, so that's just saying that our way that our brain functions, emotions, and then socialization all throughout life make that brain properly work. Okay, so function or dysfunction. When we are functioning from a more balanced central nervous system, we operate from our social vagus aspect, which is our highest part of our nervous system. When we're more relaxed, when we have better social interactions, when we feel more love, we're less anxious, we're happier. When we do that, that shapes our nervous system shapes throughout life. Okay. Last line here from this study. Toxic stress weakens the architecture of the developing brain, which can lead to lifelong challenges. We're talking about cognitive, emotional, and social, but that is also immunity and digestion. This is straight from that research study from the Harvard Developing Child Lab. Okay. Weakened central nervous systems for the long term, no bueno. Super no bueno. However, we have neuroplastic brains. That means that our brain is constantly looking to change. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you're starting right now when you're pregnant with your child or your kiddo's 15, okay, or you're an adult and you're like, "Man, I have so much work to do." So, all right, take a deep breath day by day. When you live this more natural lifestyle, your body, your brain, this whole global, intricately designed thing starts to function the way that it was designed to do. Remove that interference, okay? Toxins, live more naturally, live clean, man, get all that crap out of your house, all the things that aren't natural, go more natural. It literally is every aspect of your life. It's so stressful to start, but just take it day by day. You got to clear one thing out at a time, and then your whole life is going to be natural and clean, and you're going to be so much happier about it, and your kids are going to function better, and you're going to function better, okay? So live more cleanly. You're going to have less interference. You're going to have more balance, and therefore, you're going to have less inflammation, you're going to have less stress, and you're going to be more balanced, okay? Balance today, tomorrow, 3 weeks from now, 2 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. If that is your normal, this thing is going to function amazingly. And your kiddos are going to function amazingly. Know those signs of dysfunction. Go back and watch the beginning. And if you want to see how we can help, recognize that stress within your kiddo's system. You mentioned this webinar. When you call our office, you get 50% off your scans, your initial evaluation, because we use state-of-the-art technology to look at stress within the body. Any questions, feel free to ask on this thread, and we will get back to them. Raise those kiddos naturally, raise yourself naturally, and man, you will be so, so glad that you did. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you